him. Absolute stud, Stanford Steve.
Yeah.
Steve, we're talking about the seat being hot in Columbus. Do you know if they hang a banner? And what are your thoughts on having to defend a national championship with a brand new quarterback, but a bunch of studs everywhere for Ohio State this weekend?
I'm not sure about the banner stuff. I feel like Ohio State has the highest expectations every year, and they're not into that banner thing. They'll just find you on. They'll find you online. We know that. But when you're looking at Ohio State, Pat, I think this is the great thing about the sport. Ohio State and Texas, right? They don't rebuild; they just reload. And in college football, you get to learn who the next names are, right? We heard all about Jeremiah Smith going into last year. Boy, did he show out. Now he's the best player in the sport. But you still have questions to answer, and this game is really interesting because both teams have a lot of the same deals to fill. Look at Texas with the defensive line they've put in the pros. Ohio State loses that whole defensive line. They both have to replace those guys. Quarterbacks, Arch, I read 224 snaps last year. Only 6 on the road or in a neutral site. So he's got a lot of proving to do. Julian Sayin got plenty of toys to play with, but we got a new O-line coach at Ohio State. We have one, sustained starter, 4 guys up front, got a great tight end, and Max Clare that should help him, with the toys on the outside. So when I look at Ohio State, we know what the expectation is going to be, and I really commend them for playing this game. All 6 teams that are playing these top 10 matchups, because you have to find out what you got. With practice, AJ could talk about this. This. There's no more two-a-days. Like, it's limited, pads on pads. And, some guys rise up on game day, some guys don't. And you only know when you get to the game day situation. And that's why I think, and then they played, Texas' last game last year. You take away the screen pass and the Sawyer player, it's 14-14. So I think it's going to be a feeling-out process. Matt Patricia's got a lot to prove as a defensive coordinator. Tons of questions to get answered for both these teams in such a high-stakes match.
I think for obviously all college football teams, there's a lot of questions, but there's a lot of really good teams that have new quarterbacks. And it's like there's times where quarterbacks don't work out. Doesn't matter how hyped they are. I mean, I don't want to point out Florida State, but like DJ Uiagalelei goes down there, and they were supposed to be, and it just goes the complete opposite direction.
Collapse.
I'm not saying that either Arch or Julian Sayin are going to be in that situation because I like that they were in the building. I like that they grew with the team. Like, everybody's talking about Arch's, not everybody. Arch is still the favorite to win the Heisman, but I'm just saying talking heads seemingly that are against Arch are like, he's going to have to grow and improve. It's like, yeah, obviously he hasn't been a starting quarterback yet, but he's been in the same system for 2 years, and now that entire system is directed at him. It is like, hey, we're going to try to make you as great as you could possibly be. Obviously, he's going to develop and grow. It's the first game, but I like that these guys have been at the school, Stanford Steve. I really like that a lot.
I totally agree with you. And just go back not even a year, Pat. Look at the national championship game. Those quarterbacks. Will Howard, transplanted in, not even there a year. Riley Leonard, transplanted a year, not even a year. Now you look at the top 10 in the AP this year, only one team has a quarterback that's transplanted in and hasn't been there for a football season, and that's Miami and Carson Beck. So every other team in the top 10 has a quarterback that's been on campus for they went through all of last season at least, and I'm with you. I love that because then you go down the poll and you look at teams like Utah and Oklahoma. Vanderbilt did it to success last year. They're bringing a new quarterback in and that offensive coordinator that the quarterback had. So there's plenty of different ways to go about it, which always makes sense. Everybody's going to talk about Penn State adopting what Ohio State and Michigan did the last 2 years that gave them national championships. LSU violates the transfer portal. And then, you have a team like Clemson, who's just built within most returning production in the country. So there's plenty of ways to go about this, and that's what makes it the best, man. You find out when the game days and they line up.
Ranked 25A, the West Virginia Mountaineers.
Yep.
70,
sure.
I think. Some places, 25A.
Others receiving votes.
70 transfers, 70 new players. That is so many. That is so many players. It's like you hope they will all gel immediately, and there's a chance that happens. There is a 100% chance that happens. But also there's a chance that there's full-on growing pains, which I think goes back to the point that you made to us earlier today when you talked about appreciating all these teams playing against each other. 3 top 10 matchups, and if that means 3 teams are going to get losses that are ranked very high. Steve, you basically have an interesting point you said on SportsCenter last night that was like, with the new setup, maybe not as big of a deal, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for people to still get used to, Pat. Like, look at Ohio State last year. They lost the worst possible game to end the regular season with all that's with Michigan, with all that was on the line, and they still get into playoff. They regroup. They find themselves. The coaching staff does a great job, the senior leadership group, and they go on and stampede to a national championship. Notre Dame lost to Northern Illinois. Any other year, that's you're done. So, yes, I believe in these 6 teams. I love what they bring to the table. With LSU and Clemson, you have the quarterback play there. And there's plenty of talent on those rosters. Texas, Ohio State, plenty of questions to get answered. But, Texas and Ohio State are going to look totally different, say, in week 4 or 5 than they do on Saturday. And then Notre Dame and Miami, I love what Miami has up front, as good as anybody on the lines of scrimmage. And then Notre Dame, the same thing. I mean, when is Notre Dame not going to have a good offensive line? When you go on the road to a place that's been a horror show for you, where I think it's their 0-0 in their last 6 trips to Miami. They've got outscored by 28 points. But you got a great defense with, I think, more depth than they had last year. And they also had the best pass defense last year. But that offensive line, Notre Dame, will be good. And I'll take Jeremiah Love as the best running back in the country. And the best upgrade of any group, I believe, in the country is what Notre Dame did at wide receiver, going in the portal and getting some guys. So they're going to look a lot different.
Marcus Freeman, what a weapon for Notre Dame, honestly. I watched him, some old clips of him talking popped up, and I'm like, what a perfect guy to be the head of Notre Dame at this exact time, especially because they're going to have the money to keep up with everybody. The independent thing, getting all the money for the college football playoff, huge. Which means the entire school is going to be very focused on the football team being good. Mm-hmm. Okay, hey, football team's good. This is good for the entire university here. That's a good thing, everybody being aligned. Cade Klubnik last year, a lot of touchdowns, not a lot of turnovers. Does Dabo come all the way back? And then that LSU team, Ty has a question for you about that.
Yeah, Steve, do you think Brian Kelly, is it, saying this is a must-win game this weekend is a little outlandish, obviously, but does LSU need to make the playoffs this year for him to keep his job, just with how much goes into that program and their expectations every year? And could they be looking at getting another head coach if they don't make it to the playoffs this year?
Another one?
Yeah, another one.
Another guy could be on the horizon if they don't make the playoff. That's the way I look at it. But again, just so I was talking to, 3 of these teams are going to lose. If you're LSU, you say you go to Clemson, you lose by a field goal. The fan base is going to look at 0-6 in openers with Brian Kelly. I get it, but you still have plenty to play for. You got plenty of talent to move forward with, and you have a schedule that gives you opportunities for monster wins. I mean, they were hot as anybody last year, and then they had a 3-game losing streak, and the season flipped just like that. So you take care of the football more. They got better receivers. The offensive line is still the key for me with LSU, and I still think of LSU. I think of running the football, and with Sloan calling plays, this is his 3rd year. He had 2 years at another school, and last year he's never been in the top 100 in rushing. LSU has to be more stubborn and run the football, in my opinion, if they're going to give Nussmeier a better chance. You got to have some balance there, and when a guy's dropping back every snap, guys are going to have their ears pinned and then you get in trouble, and that's when the bad decisions happen. But they'll be a lot better on defense. They're a super exciting team, and Saturday night is the game of all the games this weekend that I'll have my eyes on. That's a fantastic matchup.
College football coming in with a boom on Saturday. Cannot wait for it. Stanford Steve says, hey, listen, watch these games, enjoy these games, but losers still very much in it. Let's not cancel the season after week 1. Let's actually applaud these teams for doing this. We want more of this.
Yeah.
We want more of this, which is what the college football playoff is basically saying with their new strength of record, strength of win, strength of loss. Go ahead, AJ.
Yeah, Steve, what are you expecting when you say some of these big-time matchups we have week 1? What are you expecting as far as offensive output? We've seen in the past the NFL sometimes the offense starts slow, defense might be a little bit ahead. Are you expecting some of these overs to hit? Are you expecting some high-flying matchups? What is it?
I like the unders, AJ. When you look at two of these games specifically, Texas-Ohio State game, and the numbers have flown down. They were in the 50s, and now I think, what do you got there, Notre Dame? Yeah, Ohio State's down to 47.5. That was around 51. And then Notre Dame, Miami, I might like even more, knowing that with a game of these stakes, coach is still trying to figure out what they have as far as playmaker-wise, and you know, talking to guys on each coaching staff, they love their personnel on defense. All right, so what do you want to do? You don't want to turn the ball over and put your defense in a bad situation. Let's put some first downs together. You know, let's keep the ball away from the other team. So yeah, I think, like I said, Texas and Ohio State to me are going to look the most different with all the pieces they have to fill in together. And I don't expect, you know, crazy as great as Sark and Ryan Day and now Hartline calling plays can be with the dynamic play calling. I think that, you know, you want to be simple early on too, I believe, because it makes you play faster. So I think it's going to be line up, and let's see what you got. And, you know, on Texas side, preparing for Matt Patricia, what is he going to do with Knowles gone? I think there's a feeling out process that we could see in that game for sure.
To your point, I lean towards thinking that both sides want their young quarterbacks, fresh starting quarterbacks, to have success. So we're going to run the ball. We're not going to put them in any jeopardized situations. Probably a lot of little screen, swing type things. Let's get them into a flow, especially for Arch up there in the horseshoe. This place is going to be insane. Obviously, it's going to be loud. Let's get you into the flow of the game. Arch, what's his over-under for rushing? Are we still doing those prop bets?
Oh, yeah.
We should stop doing those. I'd like to be on the side of no more prop bets for college football players because of how miserable that can become for college players whenever they're going to class and all the kids sitting around them are betting on them running 19 feet versus 17 feet and everything like that. I think that's a little bit too much to be putting on college players, especially where they have to mingle with the public. Professional athletes obviously can protect themselves and everything like that. College is a little bit different. People do get pissed and people are out of control. Arch?
But since they are still up, it's 27.5.
Yeah, so we're going over on that for Arch. I'm thinking just strictly because I think that's how he gets into the game. Like, I think that is how Arch gets into the game. So if you think about how good the Ohio State defense is going to be, there's a chance that there's going to be first read, which Arch can definitely do. Second read, Arch can definitely get to. Third read, and then we're out, and Arch can move. I think that is something. That feels like one that we like. So whatever the rushing is for Texas, I think we're probably going to head over there. But I like the unders as well. A little bit of a sticky affair over there to start this entire season. The fact that we got 1-3 week one, SEC Big Ten.
Crazy.
I mean, it is absolutely insane. Let's go down to the SEC, a team that was not listed there for a big-time matchup early. Go ahead, Tone.
Yeah, Steven, I think a team that, you know, in the past was talked about just nonstop and hasn't been talked about a ton this offseason is the Alabama Crimson Tide. Last year, I don't think a lot of people know that they had a top 10 defense and they were returning a ton off that defense. They have a top 5 offensive line. Obviously, they have a question with Ty Simpson. But what are your thoughts on the Crimson Tide this year? And are they going to just blow the doors off of Castellanos and Florida State this weekend?
It looks like they just got another injury reported that might not play. I think it's Allen or Keenan, the D tackle up front, might not be able to go. But no, I expect a monster season from Alabama, Tone. When you look at all, you know, we went to talk about the portal and this and that. I think Kalen DeBoer getting Grubb back as a play caller is enormous. That's his guy. They've been together forever. And you looked at, you know, the insufficiencies of the offense last year with Milroe, you know, completion percentage, deep ball accuracy, whatever. Take that out. When Grubb was at Washington, and I know he had Michael Penix, but they, you know, Penix led the country in passing yards, touchdowns, and all that. But they also led the country in most 10-plus play drives. Like, that's what you want. You want balance. You want versatility on your offense. And the Alabama receiving group is going to be a huge upgrade. The kid Horton from Miami's a stud that's going to come in and play. And now they can move Ryan Williams around. So I really – and then the secondary should be fantastic. Put it up there with anybody else in the country, Notre Dame, what have you. But I expect a monster year in Alabama to make the playoff this year.
Kalen DeBoer, most 5 stars in 2026, nobody talking about it.
Nope.
Nobody really talking about it. Like, I think everybody just assumed he's not going to be able to do it in the SEC. You know, not going to be able. I saw Nick Saban speaking to the team about where your breaking point. I think he still has the office in the building. Obviously, there's a lot of guys that still have the Alabama pipeline respect in the building. So I think they have somehow passed the baton well when it comes to recruiting and like keeping the allure of everything. Will they be able to win? he has to go to the playoffs and win a game, right? That's what Kalen DeBoer has to do?
Yeah, I believe so. And when you look at that job, Pat, what he had to do, what he stepped into, like Saban retires, every program in the country's calling for those players to leave. Like, if there's ever a time you're going to get Alabama players. So for DeBoer to go in there, find a balance in the locker room, weed through, all right, this is who we want here moving forward. This isn't who we want. If you want to go pro, go ahead. I thought it was an unbelievable job what DeBoer did. I know everybody has expectations of Bama in the playoff, but then you factor that in, us being there for the Georgia game, which is an all-time game, and then they go to Vanderbilt and lose. We haven't seen that in the century.
Yeah.
Pavilla's
a different animal. This is not the same Vandy, but you're 100% right, though. Like, the Alabama fans didn't view it that way.
No, they can't process that. But
we don't lose to Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's walking down Broadway.
Yeah.
With a field goal because of us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Alabama doesn't want to hear that they got better because of the transfer portal. It's Vanderbilt. They did not get better. They are a real team. Pavilla said he wants a national championship.
Yeah. I mean, they almost beat Texas at home last year, too. It was very, very close.
And Missouri on the road.
Yeah, but it's going to be hard to tell the old heads. I think.
Yeah.
Like, hey, Vandy's a team. It's hard. In this transfer portal, I think, as we now are a couple years into it, I'd like to get your take on it. Teams got real good real quick, man. And it's like some of these teams have a couple boosters that have a lot of money. If you're able, or just a little bit of money. Signetti, what he was able to do here, can he do it again? He had to do it again with a whole new group. It's like rebuilding the entire team, basically. And he has an offensive lineman that's currently been hanging out at the beach in Jersey.
We actually met
Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've enjoyed the way he's been operating. You've been handling yourself well for football, brother. But it's like Siggs had to do that again. Some of these teams, if you have just enough money and you invest in certain positions, like we get a pass rusher, we'll get a quarterback, we'll get a wide receiver maybe. Like you can become a competitive team quickly with the transfer portal. So for all the negative stuff that's said about how the big schools have all the money are going to end up with all the great players, it's like some of that happened with the transfer portal, which is definitely a plus for college football as a whole, Steve.
Yeah, there's two things on that. I look at a team like LSU, right? When we're there in Baton Rouge, they think they're getting Bryce Underwood, and we heard the number of the price tag of that. Then it flips, and he's going to Michigan. So now you have all this money that was going towards Underwood that you got it to spend on players. They went and got a brand new secondary. So how's that going to work out? Did you assess the talent right? It sounds like they did, and hearing guys that came in with that NIL money and have practiced for them so far. So that's one way of going about it. And then the other kicker that I think is a major factor in this season is now that the Big Ten is this monster conference. What are those? I still put them in the upper tier of the conference, and a bunch of those I schools: Iowa, Indiana, Illinois, Washington, Nebraska, like Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon. They're on those teams' schedules, and they got to go to those teams' places. Those teams are a lot better than they have been, and they're gonna catch some people. So how does that? Or Illinois and Indiana had a great season last year. They're in the mix also, but some of those teams are going to go 9-3, 8-4, and some of them are going to go 6-6 and 7-5. But it's because of the portal and those teams assessing the needs that they needed through that.
You didn't even think about USC.
Nobody's even
talking about USC. It's like I was just with some USC fans.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's going on?
They're confident?
Are we a team now? Or are we still?
That's not good.
There's a lot of
you know the answer.
We like Lincoln Riley, right? We should. We like what's going on.
He sounds more confident this year.
Much more than last year. Last year, it feels like they knew. Early,
they didn't have the bodies.
They lost in Vegas last year.
Yeah.
That first week against LSU or whatever. I mean, they had that game won.
They won that one.
LSU loses that one. Heartbreaker at the beginning of the entire thing. USC outperforms there. Yeah, it's like there's teams that we don't even know right now.
UCLA, Nico Iamaleava's there now. Like, are they all of a sudden going to be halfway decent? Because last year they were kind of just like an afterthought.
In Tennessee, like is Tennessee going to be great?
So
again?
many new people at Steve. I'm doing the research here for game day, right? Getting into it.
Yep.
Everybody's everywhere. Everybody is the way, like, legit. Everybody is everywhere. I'm trying my best to just, the way my brain works is I see pictures in my head.
Yeah.
Okay, so I see pictures in my head. And then I just kind of operate by telling the story of the pictures that are in my head. these guys will pop in my head in a uniform.
Yep.
And it's like, well, was that last year's uniform? Was that 2 years ago uniform? Or is that this upcoming year's uniform? And I'm like having full conversation. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know where this guy's playing. That's going to get under control, we think, right? Doesn't it feel like that's going to get under control with the next iteration of this entire thing? Don't we think there's going to be, feels like everybody feels the same way. Like, hey, we need some sort of something. Don't you think, Steve?
Yeah. And it's going in the right direction for sure. You hear, I don't know if they're more comfortable, but they're more familiar with how things are going and the price tags attached to these players. But you also too, Pat, no matter what, you got to spot the ball.
And boom, we need you out of there. Can't wait to watch West Virginia. I think they got a hard edge. And I'll tell you what, he keeps doing stuff like this, we're going to start getting all the recruits and players we need. If you're tough and want to learn from a tough samurai, Coach Rod's the guy. Hard edge is your home. Welcome to West Virginia. That's what we need going forward. Go ahead, bud.
Yeah, Steve. Week 0. Are your Cardinals going to win a game this year?
Yeah.
It didn't look great. Because if you're not going to beat Hawaii, then I don't know on that schedule how many more wins there are.
Whoa!
What's Andrew? So Andrew's got to flip that entire place? Like how Andrew Luck, general manager?
It's in the process of it. I mean, that's like you talked about trying to find out, who's where and what. Like in June, I'm looking at it like, oh yeah, they got this commit. And I'm like, recruiting now is in June, so everything's moving in the right direction. The problem is the lack of players on the roster right now. But if there's one person you ever want in charge of it, this, it's Andrew.
Yeah, and
his alma mater, but how much he cares and how smart he is, I'm in.
He does.
It's going to be maybe a little bit of a longer road than expected.
I think Andrew Luck has a huge brain. I think he loves football. I think he cares about Stanford. I think a lot of smart schools now, all of a sudden, Notre Dame, Michigan, these schools are big-brained folks. They got a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And all their alumni are like, we won't win football. Mm-hmm. Stanford, they got a rowing team.
Yep.
They got
math,
swimming. They got Olympics. They got the Olympics. Hey, we're trying to show up at the Olympics. I'm pulling for them. It's a beautiful place.
It is.
It is
campus,
gorgeous.
Football facility. It's awesome.
Everything about it is beautiful. I mean, you feel smarter as you're walking around.
Yeah.
Not his brain though; it's his heart that might be in the wrong place. Because, Frank Reich.
All right.
He's
I love Frank Reich.
Steve, I didn't like what he just did right there.
I love Frank Reich.
I know what he's trying to do.
Yeah, he's trying to take a shot at him saying he's another guy.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. I love Frank Reich, but he should have hired the other guy.
Stanford Steve being the head coach at Stanford would have been awesome. Something to think about. Now, last question here as we head in to this college football season. Go ahead, Connor.
Yeah, Stanford Steve, we just covered 2 teams. Heisman's not coming from West Virginia and Stanford, but I feel
we don't know.
That's a good point. We don't know for sure.
Mozzarella.
I think we
don't know about mozzarella.
I don't know. How many? I won't even go there, actually. Steve, looking at the Heisman list, I know you're always chasing dough. How do we feel about this list of Heismans? I'm leaning Lenore Stellers just because I watched the SEC Netflix show and I thought he was really cool. But do you like him? Any of these other guys? Maybe a running back? What do you think?
I despise Heisman Trophy odds because of, first of all, in this year where no one has a clue, but I believe it's the worst voted on award. And when you're going to do all these Player of the Year and everything, I can't get into it. I just think there's too many intricacies that happen, and I'm not into it. But you got to win 9 games.
Hold on. You sound very pissed about it. Like, that seems very deep there. That felt like that was not a Stanford Steve-like answer right there. There's a lot of intricacies. It feels like they never get it right. I don't love what we're talking.
Yeah, someone lost Mike Ditka.
I think it should go to the best player. And the last year it finally did. It went to the best player. But, Jeremiah Smith should be the favorite this year.
Yeah, he should.
Okay, I got you. You don't think Arch has a chance to be the best player?
He has a chance. But I'm saying right now, who's the best player in the sport?
He's so fun to watch.
Mark Gronowski.
Yeah, Gronowski's up there.
Hey, now.
Gronowski could be a player. Jeremiah Smith is so
big home games for the Hawkeyes this year.